Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to show you a really cool puzzle where it is white to play and win. You might look at this and go, how is white even drawing this position? Look at this H pawn, it's so advanced and it looks like all these pawns are blocking this. How does white possibly win this? Well, give it a shot, see if you can find the central idea, and there are lots of variations. We're not going to cover every single one, but hopefully, with my analysis, you'll get the main idea here. So it's white to play and win. Give it a moment. Try to see if you can figure it out. Of course, this pawn is the main threat, and see what you can come up with. While you're thinking about that, let me quickly encourage you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income that I earn in this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber, it helps us out so much. We've given $1,100 so far, so awesome job. Okay, let's get started here. You can't play a move like bishop d7 because this pawn is too fast, right? No kidding. You can't catch that. Just to show the idea. So what can you do? Well, you have to stop this pawn, and you can't go on this diagonal. I just showed that. Instead, you can go on this diagonal. And the only way to access this f1 through h3 diagonal is via b5, which means the first move, bishop b5. Great, that makes sense. Well, what does black do? This is the one thing that they're trying to keep in the position, right? So they want to run this up the board. Now let's just say, for example, you just think you don't want to do that. Let's say you want to move the king instead. Well, now you're really in trouble because bishop f1, and this is going to be blocked up. And notice, just as an example, if you move this now, just to give away the pawn to show the point, I can make this kind of move. And look at this little fortress I'm building. Isn't that nice? Just to show the point. Very instructive point. Okay, so you pretty much can't do anything else except for h3. You're trying to run this pawn home. That's the main line here. Okay, the reason you went here to b5 was to go to f1. So let's follow through with your intention. Bishop f1. I'm attacking this pawn. What are you going to do? Well, you can't defend it in one move. You actually would need two moves for that. So you have to push it. Pawn h2. Great. Now they're threatening to promote. So white only has one sensible move here. That move, of course, being bishop g2. Now is where the puzzle kind of begins. So you have a lot of moves as black. If black wants to try to run this way, it's just not going to be fast enough, just simply. So they play here. You can play king b6. You can go wrong here, but I'm just going to show an engine line just to give you the idea. King f6, king takes b7. If the king runs up the board, you play c4. You could always use this pawn as a distraction if you really want to get crazy. King d6, king b6. I have this little opposition going on. And what's going to happen? This pawn's going to get pushed, and there's nothing to stop it. You want to go here? That's fine. c5. You want to go here? That's fine. I grab the opposition. There's no problem. I can just go here. I can even run away from it. Not a problem. This is not a king and pawn endgame video. Hopefully, you get the idea. So the king cannot run this way. That's my point. Instead, after bishop g2, the king is going to do something very sneaky. That very deceptive trick is to go to g5. And you might ask me, Frank, why would they want to do that? You can't even get in because this pawn, and this bishop are forming a little wall. So what's the point of going to g5? They're just going to get blocked in. They can't go anywhere. And I would ask you to think 1 second about what else can constitute a draw other than like repetition or even material at the end. A stalemate is a draw. So maybe their defensive resource is to try to stalemate themselves. That's the idea. So, king g5. Okay, what's the idea now? Do they want to run here and somehow block themselves in? Pretty much. Let's see how that materializes. So there's one move here that wins this game. Only one. Might not seem like it because you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a lot of moves, right? All of these moves. Only one of them wins. What move is that? Well, I'll tell you what it is, and I'll tell you why it isn't one of the others. It's king to b6. That is the superstar move. Like that. I'm trying to get green. There it is. So if you play something else, maybe you want to play, I don't know, c4 with the intention of running this up the board, taking this pawn, and running it home. That seems like a very natural move to play, in my opinion at least. They can play king h4, and what they're going to do is they're going to force this drawn endgame. And I'll just show you how that looks in real time. King b6. Either way, it's going to be pretty much the same whether you push the pawn first. Hopefully you get the idea. They promote. You have to take that. And now, king h3, and you're going to pretty much lock yourself in. Like this. King h2. You can take here if you want. And look at this. h4. Look at the pawns are running. Now you might say, wait a second, there's no way this is a loss, or there's no way this is a loss for white. It's not a loss for white. It's a draw. This queen can't do anything, surprisingly. Queen takes f5. That looks great. That doesn't do anything. That's a draw. King g2. This is going to go. You can play around with the variations if you want, but king takes f2. That's going to go. You want to do something like this. King g2. You can't hold everything together with just your queen. Okay, so the whole reason, let's go all the way back. The whole reason why you can't play c4 is because of this idea. And you'll realize that's the key idea you have to refute if you're white. So how do you do that? Well, that's the beauty of puzzles. So the winning move is king b6, and you'll realize the slight nuance here. Obviously, I want to take this pawn on b7 and push the pawn on c2 to make a queen. Great. But what do you do if black executes the same exact thing in the previous variation? What's the difference? Let's talk about it. So they play king h4. They're looking to sacrifice their piece and then maybe bring their king in, promote this pawn, everything I just showed in that previous variation. What is wrong with it now? So let's take it very, very slowly. If you take this pawn, that whole variation I showed is the exact same. They play promote, take, same idea. You get the picture. I'm not going to do every single move again. You get the idea. So white, in just an amazing fashion, realizes that this is what black is going for. So they have one move here that wins. What is the one move? Give it a second if you'd like to figure it out. This is one really cool move to find. The move is bishop to h1. Isn't that a cool move? You're preventing this whole idea of them promoting and bringing the king in. But now they can bring in the king directly. So what's happening here? Well, this is the beauty of the puzzle. There's so many amazing features of this puzzle. So they play king h3. Their intention as black is to play h4 and be completely locked in. That's the idea. Hopefully you see that point. Hopefully I made it clear. So what do you do as white? This is an amazing puzzle. If you just take this, you just deprive them of the thing that can move. So they play h4, and now, no matter what you do, well, of course, you could give up your bishop, but that'll lead to a loss. Whatever you do is going to be a draw. You play c4, it's a draw. Stalemate, right? And just to be sure, if you do anything else, it doesn't work. So, I just gave away the move there. So, after the king plays to h3, the one move that wins is the astonishing c3, not c4, c3. Okay, let's talk about this. If I play c4, you play h4, and if I move out of the way to let your pawn run, it doesn't actually work for me. They can play b5, and if I push, look at this. Look at the way this works out. b3, c7, b2, a8 equals queen. I'm attacking this. I'm ready to checkmate you right here. And what do? b1 equals queen. Defending that. This is so cool. Come on. You gotta love chess. You gotta love this stuff. So this is a drawn position. That's pretty much the point. You can have fun with the position if you'd like to. Throw it in an analysis board. Play around with it. Mess with the computer. All that stuff is a lot of fun. But it's a draw. So that's if you play c4. As I mentioned, the winning move is the astonishing c3. Bang, that is an exclamation point move, double exclamation point move. So you might ask me, wait a second. What's the difference here? Well, if they play h4 now, and this is the main line in the study, you play king b5. You're stepping away. You're giving them one tempo. They play b6 because they're forced to. You play king c4. What am I doing here? What's the idea? Where is this king going? Well, if I had to just give you a guess, where is this king going? Is the idea to like avoid a check and then if they push, maybe push this guy off the board and mate this way? No. The idea is to bring this king in to f1. They play b5 check. You don't go up the board. No. You go down the board. You play king d3, b4, king e2. It doesn't matter what they do. Pick your favorite way to lose. And then you play king f1. Look at this. c2. They're one tempo away. And you have bishop g2, checkmate. How insane is this puzzle? I love it. These are all so much fun for me to cover. If you enjoyed it, let me know. This is like a big story in my head, the way that the pieces are fighting against each other. It's just so much fun. As I mentioned, any feedback is welcome. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.